term distinctly from cooperative. Cooperative with a capital C to me means an economic entity that is formed according to cooperative principles, has a very specific set of prescriptive things about its ownership structure. One member, one vote, return to the members on the basis of patronage. You know, these are the sort of fundamental economic principles of cooperatives that were established as handed down to us mostly from the Rochdale principles. Rochdale was an intentional community in 1860s, England, and now the roots of the food co-op movement in the 1950s and 60s in the U.S., well, 30s, I guess, if you include the big food co-ops that no longer exist. You know, that was the heritage that went into them. I actually backed into farming by way of the cooperative movement. Co-ops were my first and primary interest in organizing and developing. I was on the board of the neighborhood food co-op. I didn't start neighborhood food co-op. That was like, it was started by the Community Foundation and other groups like that in 1972, I think. I came to Santa Cruz in 77. I was on the co-op board when it demised. And we composted it into, and Scotty Roseman turned that compost into New Leaf Markets. Molino Creek Farming Collective got established in 1982, and we've been going since then. It is still going. There aren't very many contemporary groups that have lasted that long. I'll just, say a couple of very, very distilled observations about that after doing that for the last few decades. We used to say, when we were talking about our farm early on, that organic farming was pretty hard. Dry farming was really hard. Very different. But collective farming, you got to be really crazy. There's an essential paradox about our experience from my point of view. I should say that we're not actually fundamentally structured as a cooperative in the formal sense. We're a partnership which for many, many years was unincorporated. We were tenants in common. We do own our land. We purchased the land in '82 and financed it. Got interest rates were 16% or something like that. That was really crazy. It's a limited equity appreciation structure. So your equal share of ownership of the farm and the property can only appreciate according to the rate of inflation. We actually started out with our own unconsumer price index. We didn't want to use the consumer price index, so we made up our own unconsumer price index that would index the value of our shares. And that was based on like the cost of a pair of Levi's, a can of Rosarita refried beans, an hour of auto mechanic work. It was pretty funny. It ended up being almost exactly the same as the consumer price index officially, so we abandoned our own and just went with the CPI because it was so much easier to figure out. Every time somebody left and came in, we had to recalculate that. But the essential thing I want to say about collective farming or cooperative farming, I mean, it's upstream against American culture, especially for my generation, the baby boomers. You know, even though we had great exposure to all kinds of, you know, Quaker culture in the anti-war movement, and you know, this whole revolution in cooperatives and anarchist kind of self-structuring things. The actual ability of people with different attitudes, different styles, and different backgrounds to get along together and work it out, I think it's really upstream in American culture, and that's one of the biggest obstacles to cooperative farming. Farming together with other people is very, especially problematic. All those wonderful people you saw in that film, they're all kind of doing their own thing. Organic Valley is a very important, I don't want to say exception, but it is out by itself. I mean, Cabot Creamery, I guess, you know, you could say is sort of in the same class, but there's nothing like Organic Valley. It's over 2,000 members. It's $1 billion company. There's so many unique things about it, you know, sort of hard to say, well, that's a model. But that ability to figure out just how to work with each other within a business, economic, and taxation structure that enables it to work for everybody is really freaking hard. And farming in particular is so style and instinct dependent. You know, there's many different routes you can take to the same successful conclusion. But sort of having a mishmash of, well, at this stage we'll do it my way, and then next stage we'll do it your way, and next stage we'll do it their way. That's not necessarily a coherent way to get to success in agriculture. So it is kind of anomalous. You know, the successful cooperatives and collectives are fairly few and far between. So I think it's great that you know, there's a surge in interest. And you know, the fundamental thing about cooperatives, and why they succeed or fail, is are they addressing a specific need of the people who are involved. A lot of people have wanted to start cooperatives because they like the idea, they like the principles, and there's sort of an answer looking for a problem. And those co-ops fail. But co-ops that are built very specifically on a specific need and structured to meet that need will not only succeed but thrive. You know, it's actually a superior way to organize economies. So just the last thing I want to say about our experience at Molino Creek, you know, this paradox that I refer to is that the diversity of skills and experience was absolutely essential for us. I mean, if I had started a farm with all my deadhead college buddies, it would not have lasted 40 years, I can tell you that. We have a very diverse mix of styles and philosophies on everything from, you know, how you put away the tools, to how you pay the bills, and that has made it very, very difficult. You know, we didn't all know, these people didn't all know each other at the beginning. They were kind of thrown together for the purpose of buying this land and farming it. You know, so that fundamental need has been there all along, and that's why it still exists pretty much in its primordial form. But that diversity of skills and experience that makes it very, very hard to deal with each other on a group basis and on a one-to-one basis as well is also the reason why we've succeeded, because we have this diversity of skills and background and experience, and we could not have succeeded without them. So there's a few thoughts to